hearts got something to say too. Lovers turn to strangers, but they stay fools. I'll break the chains, take the pain to save you. Save you. Baby, I've been high and low. All the feelings I won't show. It's better if I let you go. You'll be better off. I got second guessing every shot. I won't lie, no I won't lie. I'm free but now I'm lost. Freedom comes at a cost. I won't lie, not this time. It's better if I let you go. You'll be better off. Nothing we haven't tried. I'll sing you one last goodbye, and I won't think twice. So, ready or not, I'll go. I'm setting you free for sure right now. Don't ask me how.
Holding tight while it lasted. I thought that we were forever. I didn't know any better. Took a second chance, trusted you again. I feel shattered. Broken strings cause you play me like a violin. Shame on me for all your 7 deadly sins. Had it all but you craved attention. Drowning in your own reflection. Put me down just to see me get back up again. 6 feet under and you're ready to give all the pain. If I was your new addition, you make me part of your equation. Shattered from the past. Wish you were my last. Shatter me to pieces like broken glass. Ooh, frozen looking at pictures that we took back in the summer. I thought that I would remember how we used to feel, but this isn't real. Now we're over. Take it all, there's nothing left here anyway. We used to talk, but now we don't know what to say. Now we're just two passing strangers. We tried, you lied, goodbye forever. Put me down just to see me get back up again. 6 feet under and you're ready to give all the pain. If I was your new addition, you make me part of your equation. Shattered from the Looking back, all the things I miss the most, it all comes into focus. You're not around. Ooh, when you're gone, it's like everywhere I look reminds me I can't shake these memories. Yeah. I swear summer got a bit shorter when time flies looking over my shoulder. I fall for you when it gets colder. Won't bother me, you won't believe it's over. Trust me, oh, I'm not the only. I've never been lonely. There was someone around. Trust me, oh, I'm not
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Monday, November 9th edition of LvLUp Live, your home for gaming esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John, and that dude bobbing his head to that amazing intro music that we've pretty much had since day one is the king of the courtside. You can call him Joey. What's up, buddy?
John, it is a Monday, but it is a Monday much different than any other Monday. John, this is a week filled of amazing gaming and console news. We have 2 console launches this week, 3 if you count the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation Digital, well, 4 actually, and then the PlayStation Standard with that nice disc drive. On top of that, some big game releases this week like AC Valhalla, and we have a lot of big esports news to cover as well.
Jeez, we're just going to give away everything on the show in the first 30 seconds. I like it,
Oh,
Joey.
we're just getting started.
We're just getting started. Nation, you would have known all of this if you're following us on social media, so make sure you follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at LvLUp Live. That is at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, why not give your favorite or least favorite hosts a follow? You can find myself at Fiasco. Find Joey at Courtside King. You're watching here live on Twitch. What is up, Twitch fam? You can find those handles right below those mugshots you're currently staring at. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast down the road, they'll be in the show notes for you below. And speaking of the podcast nation, if you do choose to listen to the podcast version of the show, one, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And if you are looking for a podcast for your commute later on down the road, you can re-listen to this show if you're watching here on Twitch on the podcast version, as LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're already listening to the podcast, why not leave us a really cool review? Reviews do go a long way to reach new listeners and also help, bump us up in that iTunes algorithm there. So more people can see us pop up there. We do appreciate all feedback that we get from our viewers and listeners. So thank you so much for taking your time to leave us a really awesome review. All right, Joey, you kind of spilled the beans a little bit there in the intro, but is there anything else we're talking about today on the November 9th edition?
Oh, yeah, John, we are talking about a ton more. We have some big roster moves coming out from Call of Duty to Rocket League. We're talking some funding in esports a little bit, not as much the number side, but what those numbers could end up translating into for a few different organizations. Again, that next console launch, we do have a few more details. The embargoes are up for Xbox and PlayStation. So diving a little bit more into some of the specs we haven't been able to talk about just yet. Marvel Avengers did not do so well. The world still needs saving if you're the revenue of Marvel Avengers. So there's a couple things to hit on there. Some new acquisitions, but possibly in the works. ESPN Esports, a big topic we'll be covering today, and much more.
Wow. That Avengers dig. I'm pretty sure we're going to dive into that. That's pretty upsetting. Joey, we have a lot of topics. It's a Monday. This might be the bright spot for most people on a Monday, Joey. So we need to make this next segment great. And of course, I'm talking about the drink of choice segment. So Joey, I believe last episode there was some water involved somewhere. I'm not going to point fingers, but all I'm saying is that someone on the show not named Fiasco had water. So Joey, your beverage of choice for this Monday.
John, I do have a beverage. I have to say, though, for those watching live with us here on Twitch, John's camera is reversed on one angle and not on Discord. So I thought he was just pointing to no one and just made that mistake. But he knows his angles. He knew where the window was. He designed the template. So covered him there. I was going to make fun of him, but I can't. So instead, I make fun of myself. But I'm here without water this week. I'm going to represent the Xbox Series S, the underdog over there. Maybe the Washington Justice making that beautiful run through the Overwatch League playoffs this year. The underdog known as Baby Shark. I have a little Baby Shark beer here. It's adorable. Look at that. Look at that little baby. Oh, it's too blurry to read. Anyway, it says, but I'm a baby too. It's a little worm. It's adorable. Aslan Beer Company. Again, guys, absolutely love it. It's local. Support local brands, support local breweries. Yeah, bands too. We like local music here. I know a lot of you in chat do support local bands. So I'm drinking some Baby Shark. It's a little India Pale Ale. I don't have the description in front of me, so I'll have to find that one for you later. But I'm excited, John. Also, the Nationals. Baby Shark, all about that life too.
You might as well have just had water, Joey. I'm very disappointed in your IPA.
What do you mean have water? This is a Baby Shark, man.
IPAs just don't do it for me, man. And let's be real here. This drink of choice is for me to make fun of you. So fine.
They're an acquired taste.
Fine. So it's funny you bring up the Nationals and Baby Shark. When Parr came up to bat once in a game, it was fine. When he started and we had to do it 4 times in the stadium, got a little old really quick. But yes. Okay, cool. See, chat agrees with me. IPAs suck, Joey. It's as simple as that.
Okay, chat, let's talk about this for just a second. This is
love
gaming and esports, but we're going to have a little India Pale Ale discussion here.
There's nothing to
Okay,
discuss.
I used to think IPAs tasted like dish soap. You know, like when you cuss as a child, sometimes parents would put the little soap in your mouth. Yeah. That's literally what I thought they tasted like. When I turned 21 and I actually started like adventuring out and trying different alcohol types, IPAs were the farthest thing that I wanted. But like over time, something about like fine wines as well as IPAs, my palate, I don't know if it's grown or developed or what has happened, but I much more respect IPAs at this point. At least craft IPAs. Now, just grocery store IPAs, maybe not as much, but craft breweries, I'm much more open to now.
Okay. I mean, you can
I'm going to have you
reasons.
try one at this brewery, then we'll talk.
You can have your reasons, Joey. It doesn't mean you're not wrong, though. So I respect your opinion no matter how wrong chat and I think you are. I respect your beverage of choice, sir. At least it's not water. I'll give you that. I'm totally ready to get flamed for this after that little rant there. Hard seltzer again, boys. Let's go.
My God.
Simple as that. It is your strawberry lemonade hard seltzer. I don't care. Bring it on, chat. Give me the hate. It's still better than an IPA. I'm leaving it. You know, I'm gonna let
And it's
Alan
like the sugariest hard seltzer out there too. That crazy thing.
Sugar. There is like no sugar in this. It's 3 carbs, Joey.
It tasted so
It's
sweet.
less
it was like
than 1
sugar.
gram of sugar per can. It's
Wow.
literally the
Excuse me.
healthiest, if you will, alcohol you can have if we're going to say alcohol is healthy to begin with. Yeah, don't get me at that sugary thing with less than 1 gram of sugar, Joey. I'm going to bring some facts in here. None of this fake news.
Yeah, Twitter would have flagged me on that one, huh?
Twitter would have flagged you on that. Joey, it's okay. We're going to stop the count there. We're not going to go on any more beverages in this segment. We're going to get right into it, Joey. We have our beverages. We've already had a little controversy on the show. Let's bring some more. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely. This first topic, we don't have to touch on too much, but we do want to confirm. So we broke this news about 2 weeks ago at this point. Again, we spoke about it. We kind of broke it down then, but 100 Thieves has now officially bought that CDL spot from Optic Gaming. They'll be fielding the team under that flag now as LA Thieves. So again, 100 Thieves, a brand originally in Call of Duty, did extremely well in there as an esport, decided, hey, Call of Duty League. Franchising fees seem a little high. We don't know what the revenue return is going to be. We don't know if we want to jump in as of yet. They decided to wait it out. Now, after watching it develop, watching the player counts come in and the viewer counts as well, they decided they want to jump back into it. They're going to come in here, buying that Optic Gaming spot. It did get purchased from Immortals, and they're going to, again, field that team as LA Thieves. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago. I don't know if there's anything else you want to hit on here, John. We kind of did that detailed breakdown before.
Yeah, I still think it's a good move. 100 Thieves still kind of growing their brand out there. They're definitely a lifestyle brand. They definitely have a big focus on their clothing line as well. And I think it's a good move for gamers overall to not like just to expand their brand. Also, CDL has a lot of potential. You know, whether it's being held in a parking garage or not, you know, COVID makes things go a little weird there. But I think there's some potential here, and I think 100 Thieves sees that and jumping in. And Joey, I have to say, I absolutely love the branding. First off, I love the font. I love the logos and everything they came up with. I think it's a very solid, well-designed from the get-go. Well, we'll see how it plays out, but I think it's a good jump in, and I think it's going to be a good fit for 100 Thieves if they stick around.
Yeah, not only that, I think it's a good blend as well. When we look at Call of Duty League, some orgs had to move completely away from their name or decided to move completely away from their name. Then you have some other ones that kind of were a little bit gray with Optic Gaming coming in as Optic Gaming Los Angeles, Atlanta FaZe from FaZe Clan as well. LA Thieves kind of fits into that same mold as Atlanta FaZe. Again, I think it's a good name. I think it's clean. The logo looks good overall. I'm glad to see I'm going to call them a legendary organization when it comes to Call of Duty, at least over the last decade. 100 Thieves finally starting to make that step into Call of Duty, paying up that fee, which is not cheap for that LA spot. They've decided to buy back in. And Immortals, a organization that we've seen struggle a little bit with income here and there, now finding some of that income back in this deal as well. Sticking with 100 Thieves, they've also added Tommy, a former Fnatic Call of Duty player, fun fact. He is now a Warzone pro player and content creator for 100 Thieves. Again, John, that fills a bit into that lifestyle content creation that you talked about with 100 Thieves. They're not only about signing those pro players. They want to sign those hot streamers, those musicians, those artists, that ability to go out there and be a lifestyle brand outside of just gaming. Tommy kind of hits a few of these different pieces. He's considered a fashionable icon in the esports industry. On top of that, he does bring that experience of being a former pro player, now a popular streamer. He creates content. He kind of fits into that mold of like Courage as well with the content he creates for Call of Duty. Similar style, again, different people, different perspectives, but it does bring some of that similar content that does very well for Courage in that Call of Duty vein as well. So again, I like the signing. I think it's a good move. And again, it moves 100 Thieves forward in that lifestyle branding as well.
Yeah, so everyone excited about new content. Joey's checking out, see how hot the streamers are in 100 Thieves over there.
Okay.
Hot streamers, Joey. Let's go.
Okay, hot as in popular, sir. Like, we're talking the hot topic of the, I'm not even, Baby Shark, baby.
Baby Shark. There you go.
Anything else on that one, sir?
Nope, I just had to throw that zinger in there. I'm sorry.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Speaking of zingers, these guys shoot a lot of them in Rocket League. Version 1 has added Calm to their team. He's actually teaming up with some C9 former stars, sir. This is Torment and Gimmick, also there on version 1. They did have a previous star. He decided to move on, and Calm is the replacement. Again, Torment coming in, really strong goalkeeper for Cloud9. They won a number of championships together. Gimmick is one of those people that just continues to silence people over and over. Really good in the air mechanics. Not quite squishy level, but he is definitely up there getting the job done, finding ways to score goals time and time again. Calm is going to round out this potential all-star team once again. Version 1 being a newer organization into Rocket League, but these players coming in with quite a bit of experience.
Yeah, it should be a good mix of talent here. I'm pretty excited for it. It's not a squishy muffin for sure. Squishy is on a completely different level. I love pointing this out, Joey. We were honored enough to see that amazing Cloud9 roster compete live in person here in DC when the RLCS World Championship was here. And he just takes it to a whole nother level. Torment and Gimmick are great, talented players. Also now teaming up with Calm for version 1. I think it's going to be a great fit. It's going to be interesting how it ends up playing out without that, just all-star stud and Squishy being on that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a different roster without Squishy there. Again, they've been apart for a little while at this point. It hasn't been anything super new in that area, but Squishy being probably one of the most talented players in all of Rocket League. These players did very well alongside him with Torrent and Gimmick, but with Torment and Gimmick deciding to go another way, you have to continue to rebuild rosters. The first rebuild was not bad, but I do think Calm comes in with a little bit more potentially to round out this roster to a little bit more of a complete level when it comes to competing at the highest stage. League of Legends free agency. Guys, we broke some moves last week. We could talk about more this week, but honestly, the big stage is going to be November 16th. We have a lot of crazy moves. That All-Star G2 roster might lose a piece, potentially Perks, potentially to Fnatic, potentially to Cloud9. Cloud9 looking like the likely winner if you see Jacob Wolf's latest tweets. So a lot of big stuff moving on in the LOL free agency world. And top laners are also going to be shifting around. I can tell you now, a lot of this has not been announced, but there are a lot of rookie junglers coming up as well, especially in the LEC. So we plan to break a lot of that down. Again, Monday, November 16th is when those contracts really start getting signed. Anything else you want to say on LvL free agency? I know we've nicked around a little bit with it here and there. We've mentioned some of the moves. Andre Gilhoto just got signed over from Origin to Immortals as well. That one got announced this past week. So there's a number of moves in that area, but again, a lot of them not really official as of yet.
Yeah, if a lot of the rumors that we're hearing out there are true, there's going to be some really exciting moves coming in the League of Legends scene. So I'm excited to break it down. Come on the 16th once free agency opens, once they are finally announced. There's no reason to really touch on any of these rumors as of yet, as they are still just rumors and they may or may not happen. The Perks to Fnatic or C9 is a very spicy rumor that's starting to heat up. Jacob Wolf, like you said, Joey, is covering it. That tweeted out a series of tweets there prior to us going live. So that's going to be a massive one to watch. If he reunites with Cloud9, he's going to be teaming up with a former teammate of his from the European scene. So there's a lot of things that are going to be coming up in the free agency market, and I can't wait to see what happens on the 16th.
And just to address the Perks thing actually here quick, we'll find out the official move later on, but there is one thing. So a lot of European fans are out there and they're not happy that he might be leaving Europe in general. I get it. You want to keep him in Europe, very talented player. You want to see your European players stay in Europe and do to the best of their ability. But now think from G2's shoes as well. You're losing this amazing player. Not only is he very good mechanically, but he's also a great leader on the virtual Rift as well as off the Rift. He's one of those people that can really unite a squad. He brings good leadership. He brings good balance to the team. So now think of giving that piece away to your biggest rival in Fnatic potentially. Fnatic's looking for a mid laner if rumors are being believed to be true. Do you really want to see someone with that much talent go to your biggest rival? Probably not. So then you look at the other EU clubs. Does Perkz really want to step down to a level where, hey, he might not even make worlds on some of these other teams? Yeah, there's some potential here and there. Origin, maybe they didn't look so great last split, but they're willing to spend money. It looks like they're going to probably keep Nuke Duck. You have Young Buck over there on another team. Excel is probably going to go a younger route for mid lane. So there's a number of spots you could put him on. But again, if you're Perkz, you also want to play on a high caliber team. So you're looking at the Fanatics, you're looking at the Rogues. Rogue already has a mid laner. G2 doesn't want to give you to Fnatic. Then you're going to start looking toward NA a little bit more. Yes, NA is going to be willing to pay a ton more. So one, that's a win for you contract-wise. That's a win for G2 as well. But also for G2 because they don't have to play in the same league as you. They can still lovey-dovey here. You can do some content maybe here and there. But again, you're on a different team. You're in a different league. And it's much more comfortable for G2. So I get it, European fans. I understand you want him to stay in Europe, even if that means going to your biggest rival in Fnatic. But if you're G2, that's not necessarily something you want to ship off and do. So the rumors to Fnatic when it was highly acclaimed, I think it's probably more likely that he goes to NA. And I think a team like C9 could really fit him potentially quite well. So if I had to put money on one team right now, and if it's not G2, I think probably C9 is going to be your top choice overall here.
But what would G2 fans say about that amazing bromance that is between C9 and Fnatic? Would they be accepting of Perkz being welcomed with open arms into this amazing bromance?
I think they would. Like, I don't know what Fnatic's going to do. I'm nervous about Fnatic's mid lane, to be honest. That's separately. I would love Perkz on Fnatic. I just think from a organization standpoint, if I'm G2, there is no way in hell I sent him to my top rival, especially knowing everything that he brings to the field, as well as the fact he's practically the face of my franchise for years. It would be a tough trade to make. Fnatic fans are going to be upset if he leaves Europe in general, especially if he doesn't go to their team. But I think if anyone's going to get him, I think C9 is one of those good placeholders. Seeing him to go to something like TSM, I think everyone would be upset. Like, not only European fans, but everyone else in NA is like, TSM, really? That's the one you choose? Like, Sven went there and ended part of his career for a while. Yellowstar went down there and fell apart. The only one who's really come over from, there's a few that have come over from Europe, but Bjergsen is really the only one that you can really think of that's come from Europe to TSM and stood around for a while at a high level. So I think it's going to be NA. I think it's going to be Cloud9. Again, nothing confirmed yet, but I think people need to look at all the different pieces being moved around here. I'm very opinionated.
I could see.
I would love him on Fnatic, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Come to C9. We have cookies and memes.
And Squircle is going to be so happy for another imported EU mid, I'm sure.
Of course. And just real quick, if we're going to break that down, I just had the tweet up here. What the roster would look like.
Oh, for C9?
For C9. You're talking Fudge, Blabber, Perkz, Sven, and Vulcan. So that is Fudge from Australia? Or is he New Zealand?
Let's just say Oceania.
Oceania. You have Blabber from America. Then you have Perkz and Sven coming over from Europe. And Vulcan is Canadian. So obviously he's NA. So as Fionn says on Twitter, just call them the United Nations. C9, the United Nations edition. I'm cool with that. I'm 100% cool with that, Joey. It's who knows? We'll make it back to Worlds next year, right? Right?
I think you guys will make it back to Worlds. And I do actually know this bit of information. So if C9 does not get Perkz, I can confirm their mid laner will be Palafox. So Palafox currently on their academy team in boot camping over in South Korea right now, doing extremely well. He is that top choice if Perkz falls through. Again, Palafox, very talented, one of those up-and-coming potential NA mids as well that Squircle would love to see in the actual league. I think there's a very high possibility if Perkz does not end up going to C9, that they end up sticking with that original plan of Palafox coming in, also pending Niski being sold. So lots of stuff there. Again, guys, we could dive into this for days, but we're going to wait till some of this stuff ends up becoming official before we dive too far into it. So for now, we're going to slide over to partnerships and investments and break down a couple of these new deals. Argentina-based Isurus Gaming has announced plans to expand its brand globally with eyes set on the US and Canada as the first phase of their expansion. Isurus currently fields teams in CSGO and Rainbow Six Siege in Brazil. as well as a smaller League of Legends team in Mexico. Since being formed in 2011, they've started to expand a little bit. They now have an office in Miami, starting to work their way up toward Canada as well. Toronto, Vancouver, and Ottawa are their top 3 spots that they're currently looking at. Again, not really sure what type of team they would put up there, or if it would just purely be an office for now, but those are the 3 cities they're currently exploring in and having conversations in. Also on top of that, they've revealed the construction of a 2-floor gaming house center in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's going to be fully funded as well by the organization, so no outside funding so far for Isurus. This is all purely in-house. A lot of their money coming from music, events. They do production as well throughout a lot of South America and Mexico. So a number of different venues that they're bringing in income. And one of the cool things with this organization, again, is the fact that they have not had to look toward outside funding yet. There's pluses and minuses with that. In looking for outside funding, you give up a bit of your equity potentially for that company, but in doing so, you also potentially expand your brand. If you get someone big like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for example, he brings with him a huge social media following. So if he is sponsoring your program, if he is investing into your organization, in this case, it allows you to potentially tap into his programs, tap into his ability to market himself with all of the social media followers. So again, pluses and minuses, but for now, Isurus sticking to their own funding, looking at slowly becoming bigger and bigger, not to blow up on the world stage as of yet, but slowly increasing their assets and their teams in different leagues. I like this a lot, John, and I think this is one thing that a lot of esports organizations potentially don't do very well. A number of organizations out there either balloon overnight and they can become huge and do really great, like a FaZe Clan or a 100 Thieves that have also become lifestyle brands. But then you also see organizations that almost expand a little too quickly. Immortals, in my opinion, is one of them. They bought a lot of spots. Now you see them slowly starting to roll them back. Call of Duty just this week with 100 Thieves buying that slot. They've cut funding here and there for CSGO before. They've had a few roster breakups. So Immortals is one of those clubs that, again, I think they've done some things right, but sometimes it feels like they're expanding a little too quickly for their own good, and they end up having to make choices they spend a lot of money on, and then they have to cut those choices back. So I like the fact that Isurus is really taking their time, slowly making these decisions. Again, speed is a bit of a factor, so they need to do it at a decent pace as esports continues to grow. But they're also just not rushing into things either. They're examining their decisions. They're making these decisions based on facts. They're funding themselves, so they're not really looking to outside funding yet. So they're very self-sustainable at this point. And I think that is one of the biggest things with esports right now, with it kind of ballooning in a bit and potentially bursting as a bubble later down the road. Isurus is really making preparations for that already. Anything you want to say about Isurus?
Dude,
I know Squircle probably follows them a little bit more.
Like you cleaned it up. That was good. I was impressed. I'm saying, was like, all right, take it. Take the spotlight, Joey. That was awesome.
Thanks, buddy. So that's Isurus. I'm going to let you cover this next one. This next one I started to dive into a little bit. It is Immortals. They have gone out and raised some new money because, again, it felt like they were a little short on some capital here and there. They have raised $26 million in financing, led by investor Meg Whitman and her family office. On top of that, this is also that spot that we just talked about in Call of Duty League, Immortals selling that Optic Gaming spot. Optic Gaming, they did buy out earlier in the year and then resold it to Hector. That spot does end up going back to 100 Thieves, with Immortals capitalizing on a lot of that profit. It was estimated at being around $25 million for that spot. Again, not 100% sure what it sold for, but somewhere in that area is what we're looking at for them pulling that in as well, on top of this other $26 million. So, John, how is Immortals going to spend their cash? They've jumped in here and there. They've made crazy roster moves in League of Legends. Then they rolled them back and said, okay, Huni and Rainover, you guys can leave after we spent a ton of money on you. They bring in people like Poe Belter to send down to the academy system. It kind of looked like a mess. And then on the CSGO side, they end up cutting these rosters. They had some guys show up high to play in competitions. They cut those players, obviously, good reason to. But there's been a number of different question marks within the Immortals organization. Now they have around $50 million to play with. What do you think they end up doing with it here?
I mean, you have to assume they're looking to expand somewhere. That they're going to want to take a dive into another title possibly, or they might just double down and try to like really go hardcore competitive in one of the scenes they're already in. It's an impressive round of fundraising. It's a good chunk of change coming in. So, I mean, it's one of those two. I mean, generally, you don't go out and fundraise if you're not looking to expand, if you're not looking to double down on one of your titles already. Trying to be more competitive, get some bigger names in there, maybe looking at expanding your content creation, looking at more streamers to join the Immortal family for that. So, you know, it's going to be interesting how they're going to spend the money. Because like you said, they've had a lot of ups and downs as of lately. You mentioned some of the players showing up, not in the right frame of mind, we'll just go ahead and say. They've had, some ups and downs when it comes to League of Legends, when it comes to CDL. So there's a lot of things that Immortals could do with this money to help solidify their position in the esports community and the esports ecosystem, if you will. So I'll be kind of curious, will they go the route of content creation, bring more people into the Immortals family that way with the help of this fundraiser? Are they going to double down on a roster for a title they're already in, or are we going to see them jump into a new title? I think all three are a very valid possibility for Immortals.
Okay, so one thing we did hear from them in a quote is that they're going to look to grow their core esports brands. So again, John, this dives a little bit into what you said with one, looking into the scenes that they're already in, continuing to fund that area. But two, it also could be interpreted for that content creation side as well. Again, esports, depending how you define it, some people define it just as the professional scene, which I think is actually the dictionary definition of it. But some people take it as more of a broader term as well, 100 Thieves being one of those organizations that kind of plays around with it a little bit on the content creation side as well. So when you look at this overall, personally, I think a lot of this goes to their big teams right now. One of those being their League of Legends team. League of Legends has been a scene that Immortals really made their breakthrough in. They ended up not buying out, but they paid a ton of money for Rainover and Huni. I believe they were out of contract at the time. I think it had just expired with Fnatic. They ended up paying a ton of money to buy out those players and bring them over to NA from Europe. That was a huge move. It was giant. They did extremely well that season. I think they had one loss, if I remember correctly. They pretty much went undefeated, and then they went to Worlds and kind of fell apart. But overall, they made their name for themselves. They were rated as like a top 5, top 10 team worldwide that year. Extremely talented, putting up really high score lines. That was when NA did best of 3s as well, and they were pretty much 2-0ing just about every team they faced. They just looked incredibly good. And again, this is really where I feel like their name was made. So now you're looking at League of Legends last season. They made moves for like the hottest jungler in the market. Again, hot based on quality, not based on looks. Fiasco, just to make that clarified for our chat over there as well.
Good cover.
So that's one of the big things. So they bring in Pobelter. You're like, okay, they get this veteran jungler. TSM was after him. Liquid was looking at re-signing him. He decides to go with Immortals. And then they move him to Academy. Like, what? Why would you spend so much money on a player and then send him over to your Academy scene? So lots and lots of question marks. Again, I don't think it's all on the organization ownership itself. I think some of that comes down to the coaches. Some of that comes down to your analysts. Some of that comes down to your director of esports and League of Legends operation. The owners hired them, but again, the decisions themselves not made directly from those owners. So I think there's a lot of different question marks about the way that team was, I guess, really run last year in general. I feel like there were a lot of messy situations with that team, both from the rosters they fielded to some of the stuff that happened in-house. It didn't feel like a very clean situation. So now they've cleaned house. They got rid of a lot of their directors. They got rid of analysts. They got rid of coaches. They've switched up a lot of players. Now we see a fresh squad coming in potentially. We see a lot of new talent on the staff side coming in as well. How are they going to translate that over? Personally, I think a lot of this investment goes to League of Legends. I'm not saying they're going to spend $50 million in a League of Legends, but I could see them spending quite a bit on the player salaries over there. I could see them enhancing their facilities as well for the Immortals group. I could also see them investing back into CSGO. CSGO is a scene that they did quite well in for a while, but again, fell off a bit with some of these roster drama moves here and there. It's just Immortals is a big question mark to me, so it's more of a guessing game than anything at this point. But if I had to guess, I would think a significant portion of this does go to the scenes that they're already in, and probably some to facility and content creation here and there. But it's really purely guessing on my end for them.
Yeah, it almost feels like they have to double down on a team that's already in existence for Immortals. Like you said, their entry into League of Legends, into the LCS, like on paper, they should have been unbeatable. And then they lost one game, one series, best of 3 in the regular season, and then they fell apart in the playoffs, and they were written off as pretty much as a super team disappointment like the LCS is normally used to having. When you have a super team, they fall apart in the LCS for whatever reason. And then, Immortals and Squircle kind of pokes fun at them. They spend a lot of money, and they don't really do anything. They don't win championships. They may make some noise here and there, but at the end of the day, most of the time, they end up falling short. So, yeah, I mean, you can poke fun at me. I mean, their name is Immortals, and they seem to be pretty mortal in a lot of cases here. So it would make sense for them to double down at least in one roster, try to solidify that, make a name for themselves. I mean, you can do a lot from having one roster that is stacked and performs incredibly well, and you start winning championships, you see a lot of organizations make their name and start to grow from that one legendary roster, that one legendary game. And then from that, the income comes in and they're able to expand and have that footprint go into other titles as well. So why not have that same kind of mentality here for Immortals? Why not just double down on one of your rosters, really be super competitive in that one title and grow from there? A lot of esport fans out there watch more than just one game for esports. You can easily draw people into the Immortal ecosystem by doubling down and having one super roster. It's going to attract a lot of esport fans, and they're going to want to tune in and watch and see what that roster is all about.
Absolutely. So let's see if Immortals end up going a little bit back to their roots, starting to put some more funding into that Brazilian scene where they came up from, starting to put more funding into that LOL scene where they had some success here and there, and then they made some money moves and decided not to use them to the best of their ability last season. Let's see how that shakes up. But for now, they have about approximately $50 million to play with, depending how that all shakes out with these final investments. Moving forward from business talk to next-gen consoles. Guys, this is it. This is launch week. The Xbox Series S and X launch tomorrow, Tuesday, November 10th, with the PlayStation 5 disc involved, disc included, versus the discless edition. Both of those launching there on Thursday, November 12th. I know a number of you guys in chat, a number of you guys worldwide that listen to the podcast as well, you probably don't have your pre-orders. A lot of people didn't. A number of people are not able to due to the limited stock quality out there for a lot of these consoles this year. Again, that's projected to be limited into early 2021. We'll have to see how that all shakes out. I know, John, you were talking about it earlier. Amazon ended up switching some of their statuses for people, now saying they'll get their consoles before December 31st instead of on November 10th or 12th, respectively. It's a little bit of a mess out there, guys. Very similar to the pre-order process in general for both consoles. Was not the prettiest thing. One we got notified for, one we did not. Both of them absolutely website crashing monsters of pre-orders out there. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But at least for now, everything is set to launch this week. At least the stuff that is in stock. November 10th, again, for those Xboxes. November 12th for the PlayStations. So the embargo has been lifted, John. Everyone can touch the consoles now. There's no more limitations on feeling the consoles. People are out there actually licking the consoles.
Oh, my.
I personally do not recommend licking plastic, electronics, electric sockets. Personally, would stay away from all that. But if you guys want to lick your cartridges and consoles and discs, and you just do that on your own time, not here on the podcast or in chat. But people are testing everything. One of those big tests is compatibility with the backwards compatibility on load testing. So now we know both generations or both consoles are going to come out with backwards compatibility. Xbox has been doing this for 4 generations now. PlayStation jumping into it for this as their first generation. So again, give Sony a little bit of time to get some of the tweaks out here and there. It's not going to be a perfect backwards compatibility launch compared to someone like Xbox, who has already put 3 to 4 years into working those backwards compatibility titles. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out for now. We do have some speeds, though. GameSpot did run a few tests here, and we're just going to go over some of these semi-open world games because these are some of the biggest games and some of the hardest ones to load for consoles in general, just because they load so much of the world map before anything really happens, and then you dive right into it, and there's very little loading here and there. So some of the games that were tested from GameSpot, we have Destiny 2. It is a 42-second load time on Xbox Series X, 57 seconds on PlayStation 5. Again, both of those under a minute, both of those very quick. Xbox winning out by about 15 seconds there, not a super big difference. Monster Hunter World being another one, 35 seconds on the Xbox Series X, 51 seconds on the PlayStation 5. Again, right around that same 15-second window, a little bit in favor of the Xbox Series X. And again, guys, just to reiterate, I think PlayStation is doing a great job, and I'm glad they have backwards compatibility. But keep in mind, Xbox has done this for a little while, so you're going to see some improvement, not only because of the technical specs of the Xbox Series X, but also because they've already put some time into this development as well. Last but not least, Game of the Year nominee, Red Dead Redemption 2. Very popular title, one of the top-selling titles of the year it came out. That is going to be 1 minute and 4 seconds on the Xbox Series X, and then 1 second slower, 1 minute and 5 seconds on the PlayStation 5. So really impressive stuff, guys. Again, I don't have the numbers for the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 in front on these titles, but they are considerably faster. Is what we're being told. I believe it's actually a couple minutes faster for some of these. So very, very impressive time changes. And these are just backwards compatibility titles. These are not even next-gen titles that are set to take advantage of that PlayStation solid-state drive, that are set to take advantage of the Xbox Velocity architecture. they're just backwards compatibility titles and they're loading this fast. So really cool things there. John, I did put a little demo in chat for you. If you want to click on that beautiful Twitter link. John's giving me the what?
It's loading.
So this is a quick sample of NBA 2K.
It's going to be like a minute loading time.
Oh, please. Don't even with me.
Yikes.
So
Joey.
it's a quick little demo of NBA 2K. It's from the main menu screen and then jumping right into a game and how quick that's going to be, just to give you guys a sample of one of the most popular games currently out there on console.
And a shot from before is the Miami team bus. Greg, we've got two terrific highlight-making teams, both athletic in so many ways.
You know, it makes me hearken all the way back to college.
You know, that's not too shabby.
That's freaking fast.
I feel like that's plenty of time for me to prepare for me throwing up air balls left and right. It gives me a solid 15-second window for me to mentally prepare myself before I shoot 0 for 20 in the first quarter. So I'm totally pumped. Great load time.
0 for 20.
0 for
wow.
20.
I have more faith than you in that. I think you could at least find a dunk here or there. You'd get the job done, sir. We'd make some alley-oop happen. I have a feeling. But yeah, guys, so that's NBA 2K. Again, one of the most popular selling games on both the PlayStation and the Xbox. Very quick. In total, that video is 16 seconds, and that takes you from that play screen right at the beginning of the main menu all the way to in-game where you're actually playing as the character, about half a second in-game. So really crazy stuff. Very, very quick load time. The quickest load time we have ever seen on consoles yet. And again, consoles pushing new frame rates as well, with the standard for both consoles aiming at 60 frames per second. With Xbox, I don't know how many games it's going to be, but some select games will hit up to 120 frames per second. Again, yes, PC players, I know some of you guys are hitting 300 frames per second like nothing. But for the console players, a lot of the frames per second were capped at 30 frames per second last generation. Now 60 being a huge jump from that, doubling right there. Really cool stuff. Anything else you want to hit on with load times, John? I think the biggest factor here is going to be telling kids that they still need to use the bathroom, because that's going to be one of those things where you used to have those crazy long load times and you were able to go to the bathroom, able to get drinks. Now you are going to load in so quickly. You have to remember, take those bio breaks, get those drinks, be healthy, find some time to stretch here and there. For me, Twitter, when I was playing on console and I had these giant load times, I would go ahead and scroll through Twitter. I would find little things here and there. But now I don't know if I can find stuff on Twitter in 15 seconds. It's just so quick.
Chat's saying the term bio breaks makes them feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's a legitimate term in gaming. I'm sorry. I can't tell you how many times, especially when Overwatch came out, that, I'm squatting up. We have a full stack of 6. We have a full team. And we just got done doing 6 games in a row. And the one person goes, hey, yo, before we load up, bio break. And everyone's like, great idea. And then everyone takes a 5-minute break. It's the smartest thing because it's so easy to get caught up in games. Yes, it's weird, but we're all quasi mature here. I don't know. So for Joey, I mean, this is great. Fast loading times. It's less time that Joey's on Twitter. And since he switched to PC with the less loading time, he hasn't been as toxic as much on Twitter. So this might cut down on toxicity in the Twitterverse. So if it can work for Joey, it can work for anyone.
Yeah, you know me, one of the most toxic people on Twitter out there. Kill him with kindness, I always say. Fun fact, though, chat, bio break, I actually got that from John. I had always just said go to the bathroom before, but John has adopted the term bio break here and there, and I started to pick it up from him.
It was something that's has always been said. For me, it's like second nature. It's... I don't know. I mean, chat, tell me if I'm wrong. Have you heard of Joey? I need a poll. I need a poll.
Two of them have already said no.
Really? Who else said no? I've never heard someone say that. It's always been bathroom breaks. Squirkle
said no.
Alan doesn't count though. He doesn't.
What do you mean to make this poll? Have you heard of bio?
No, we don't have to do the poll. It's fine. Bio break is just me. That's my camera. Goes out of focus again because autofocus is terrible. See, Clue's heard me say it. Thank you, Clue.
That's what I said. We got it from you. You're the one who brought this crazy thing up.
Whatever.
Impartial. What's another one? no.
Who
And then
cares?
hell
Just go to the
nah.
bathroom.
Okay, we're gonna put 2 minutes on John's little bio break poll.
Please,
Boom.
let's not do this. This is such a waste of a poll.
You asked for a poll, so we're gonna throw the poll out there. Everyone can talk about your bio break later on, but for now, guys, very quick load times. Again, make sure to still take those bio breaks. Drink that water. Get that little stretching in here and there. It's all good to be healthy. Game Gym does a great job of reminding everyone that's a member there, as well as different players who come in for their tournaments. Look at being healthy. Guys, find time to stretch. Find times to get up from the computer. Make sure to continue to drink that water. Again, bio breaks, bathroom breaks, whatever you want to call them. Just make sure it gets done. Good times there. Loading times very quick on these new consoles. John, from here, we're going to jump in. And again, not spending too much time on this because a lot of these have passed, but the Xbox global activations. I freaking love this idea. And I could be wrong, chat, but I don't remember this ever happening before with any kind of console release. Maybe other technology has done this, but at least for consoles, I think this was brilliant. I think COVID is a big reason this ended up happening, but I really hope this is one of those like COVID things that I hope stays around. Working from home is nice. I'd love to see some of that stay around too, but global activations. I have never felt as connected now as I do to the gaming community worldwide. This morning, I woke up at 5:30 and attended a fan fest in New Zealand virtually. So I was hanging out with my Aussie friends, my New Zealand friends over there, chatting it up about Xbox, watching this. Like, it felt like a New Year's Eve ball drop. So New Zealand, fun fact, is the first one who gets the console. If you look at the way the clock runs, New Zealand is going to be the first one to hit midnight on November 10th. So they ended up with this crazy, like, big Xbox Series X in the water. They turned the whole town of Queensland green. So it's like Greenland or something. Is it Greensland? I don't remember what they called it. But anyway, it was something super corny. But this cool big Xbox display, they had a countdown. Then it's like the ball dropping thing. You have sparklies. You have fun little displays, big light shows, good old times. But talking in chat was so cool. Like, Australians and New Zealand folk are amazing to begin with. Everyone is so friendly. It's not like North American Twitter where everyone's super toxic to everyone, or even European Twitter. But over in Australia, it felt like everyone was just ready to game. They're super excited. They're just getting their new consoles. So it was tons of fun. Then from there, later on in the workday around noon, I ended up throwing another Twitch thing up on my second monitor. I went to France. I went to Germany. John, we need to touch on Germany because they're crazy. Germany ended up doing like this huge drone display. I think I sent you a picture earlier.
You're welcome.
I know. They did. They had like this whole display with like 150 drones. They like built the Destiny logo into the sky. Super cool display. I didn't stick around in France too long, but the UK stream was really cool. UK, they did playthroughs of a bunch of games that are coming out this week. They jumped into Watchdog Legions that just launched a couple weeks ago, which, by the way, is absolutely gorgeous. Because it's a UK studio, they did like a walking tour of futuristic London. Like, they went by King's Cross Station and they went into some of these old cathedrals. It was so freaking cool. And then they ended up doing a little bit of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is absolutely gorgeous as well. John, I think your poll is done. Did you get those results?
I've demanded a recount. I'm suing the pollster at the moment.
Oh my gosh. Stop the votes. Stop the count, ladies and gentlemen.
Stop the count.
So yeah, that was really cool. And then they're doing them, I think, like Canada, Mexico, Brazil, United States has some things too. So it was very different. It's something, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember this ever happening with anything else before, where it's been quite this global, where all the community, and again, not everyone attended every single stream. I think I was probably in the minority of jumping from different ones, talking to different people. But it's one of those cool things where now you see like fans in all of these different areas kind of having something unique tailored to them. So it was a really cool approach overall. I really liked it.
Yeah. I would have to imagine the pandemic is playing some sort of role. Obviously, all the in-person events, all the different conventions that would have happened, all the different esport tournaments that Microsoft would have shown up to help promote the next gen console as well. All of it got canceled. So, I applaud Microsoft for thinking outside the box, no pun intended. And, really taking it on a global scale. I think they are to be commended for having a very successful global launch so far. I mean, it's very unique. By holding these events in different places throughout the world, like you said, Joey, you bring that community together. You'll never see Sony do that. I don't see Sony doing anything like this. It's truly a Microsoft. It's Microsoft to a T. Like, they have no problem going above and beyond what everyone else is doing to make a spectacle of something. And I don't mean that in a negative sense whatsoever. But his chat is just going off on that.
I mean, that was pretty creative over there.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's great. And, I didn't have as much free time as you did, Joey, today, so I wasn't able to hop around. But since I am some percentage German, I do take some offense to you making fun of the fatherland over there.
It was crazy awesome. I just left off awesome at the end of that.
Yeah,
phrase.
well, the problem is,
I mean, like, who is going to go out there and put all these drones and have them do these synchronized things? Of course it's Germany. Of course Germany is taking that technology to the next level and doing something awesome and crazy with
absolutely. You bet Germany is, and I guarantee you everyone was drinking while they were doing it too. So a lot of fun stuff there. I'm glad you could enjoy what Germany could do for you, Joey.
Oh, thank you, German citizens, Xbox fans alike over there. John, one thing, and not to touch too much more on this, you did mention that PlayStation probably wouldn't do anything like this. Again, I'm defending PlayStation here, which is crazy, but PlayStation already has so much of the market worldwide that they really don't have to go a step and beyond and do things like this because they already have such a huge market share. They're coming in and saying, hey, we are the heavyweight titles. You guys are the challengers. Xbox has to do these creative things to find ways to find their way really into the market share in general, especially over in Asia, over in Europe. Oceania, they're not doing as bad, but Europe and Asia especially. So again, this could be Xbox just being really awesome and doing these things for their fans, which I think part of it is. But part of it is also that market share. A lot of this is money driven here and there from both sides. Xbox wants more people to buy into their ecosystem, whether it's a console, whether it's playing games on PC. They want people into their ecosystem. PlayStation already has a number of people into their main ecosystem, which is console. They really don't have to do too much other than get those consoles sold, which are already going to happen for the most part. So in PlayStation's defense, as much as I would love to see it, I don't think there's too much of a reason to do it either.
Allow me to take a sledgehammer to that, Joey. With all the negativity surrounding what Sony has done, while Xbox has been the more gamer-friendly console right now with all the backward compatibility, everything Xbox is doing right now, working with developers, promoting this, gamer-friendly attitude. Yeah, I think it's great. And the problem is Sony hasn't done anything to match that. And the idea that, we already have a good percentage of the global market, while that's great, if you don't keep up with what your competition is doing, like if you don't recognize that Microsoft is now like really trying to make a dent in your global market and you just kind of sit back and let it happen, eventually you're going to fall. Like you cannot be that cocky to sit there and be like, Microsoft isn't going to be able to dethrone Sony on the international market. They most definitely could, especially if they keep this gamer first mentality of working with developers to ensure, you can upgrade your game for free to the next generation console. Having great deals like the Xbox Game Pass Unlimited. Who's the Xbox shill now, Joey? It kind of feels like it's just so weird. You're defending Sony and I'm defending Microsoft. I just, Sony needs to do something. I'm not saying they have to do a massive global launch like what Xbox is doing, but they need to do something because when you take a look at the console wars, yes, both consoles are absolutely great. You still have the fanboys out there on both sides. When you take a look at the actual console wars themselves, whatever little bit is still there, it comes down to what is going to make the gamer, your consumer, feel best about dropping $600 for the next generation console when there's so many other things out there that's trying to draw their attention, whether it's a gaming PC, whether it's streaming services on a smart TV, whether it's Twitch, whether it's YouTube. There are so many different forms of entertainment right now that's trying to draw everyone's attention. Tell me why I should buy a $600 console. And if I'm sitting here and I'm in the Sony ecosystem, myself included, having a PlayStation 4, a PlayStation 3, a PlayStation 2, a PlayStation 1, I'm sitting here, I'm going like, why should I buy a PlayStation 5? When you take a look at everything Xbox is doing with Xbox Series S and Series X, why should I buy a PlayStation 5? When everything that comes out for Microsoft right now is so positive, so gamer friendly, and just frankly better at the moment, then there's Sony like, we'll think about backwards compatibility. Oh, by the way, we invented that, and cross-platform, we invented that too. Sony it feels like they're mishandling everything. And I can't help but feel it's putting a negative taste in gamers' mouths out there when they're looking to upgrade to the next generation console. We saw this happen when PlayStation Network went down and Sony was pretty much tight-lipped with what was going to happen. And it was bad. You saw a lot of people jump ship to Xbox and to the Microsoft ecosystem that didn't come back. Like that, those are the things Sony needs to fix. They need to recreate their public image, because as of right now, I just feel like Microsoft is just dropping one on them right now, and Sony's just taking it.
Wow, someone give Chad a pulse check just in case. We switched things up quite a bit on this episode. I was not expecting that angle to come out. Wow, I feel like I just lost my shill status for a little bit tonight.
You can have it back. It's all yours.
Sony's just taking it. Good times. So one other thing for Sony, this is a bit of a win for PlayStation fans out there. After all of that we just dropped on them, there is a little win coming in for fans of Spider-Man. Spider-Man fans on PlayStation, it was tweeted earlier today by Insomniac, and they have stated it is now a work in progress with the ability for players to export their Spider-Man save files from PlayStation 4 to the remastered version on PlayStation 5. So if you're one of those people going out there, you want to rebuy that game, the remastered edition of that game, there will now be the ability to pull your save files from PlayStation 4, move them over to PlayStation 5, and it should be coming. The estimate is around Thanksgiving, so we'll say around the end of November. With COVID, maybe it gets pushed a little bit further, but sometime around the end of November if you're looking to use those saves. Again, guys, just a reminder, the Xbox is launched tomorrow, Tuesday, November 10th. PlayStation on Thursday, November 12th. Stock is limited. It'll be switching out here and there. If you do want to try to pick either one of these up tomorrow, I don't know if Xbox has confirmed yet, but PlayStation will be all online. Do not go stand in line at a Best Buy, a Target, a Walmart, a GameStop. You have to be in the virtual line if you want to try to pick up a PlayStation tomorrow. I'm sorry, on Thursday. Xbox, again, not 100% sure, so you're kind of playing your cards here and there. I would assume online is probably the safest route. But if you do want to get up early and try to stand in the line at a GameStop or whatever, you might have an opportunity for one of those consoles. I don't think Microsoft has stated if there is in-house stock yet, though. Okay, that's enough Xbox and PlayStation. We have shilled out all over the place. We have given great criticism here and there. We've talked about them for weeks on end, and now we are finally to that launch window. So we'll see how that all comes out later this week with all the new details and everyone picking up those consoles. For now, we're going to shift things just a little bit, run through a few more of these topics, and then move forward. Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics has missed its expectations by 40% of sales. We're not talking 5%, 10%. We're talking a full 40%, almost half of the sales were lost on this game compared to what they were predicting on it. Again, a lot of different reasons this could break down to. The game cost around $100 million to make, and they have sold around 3 million copies to date. I believe it came out in August or September of this year. So it's still rarely young here and there, but it's one of those games that has not done too well. Personally, this is a game I would probably look to put on Game Pass sooner than later if I'm Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics. Let's try to bring our player count back up. It's a game as service anyway, so your idea is to hook people in and hope they spend more money later down the road. So why not just throw it into Game Pass, see if you can pull some players in, and then try to hook them into your ecosystem? That's the play I would make. Again, I'm not corporate over there, but they are losing a ton of money on it.
So Joey, because math is important and numbers are important. If they sold 3 million copies at $60 a copy, we're talking $180 million. So they've only made an $80 million profit. Now, yes, Joey, for those of us peons down here that have podcasts, $80 million is a pretty awesome budget to like income from making a game. For these studios, you barely broke even. Like you're expecting a lot more, and it's not just making the game. It also comes down to the licensing for it. How much did that cost? There's so many other things that go into it. This could be a potential loss for these developers with how poorly it's sold. I mean, it's a pretty big thing. And, if it's that bad, they may not look at renewing the contract, or the contract might go somewhere else for Marvel's Avengers in the future. So, there's a lot of different things that go into this. Only having a profit of $80 million so far for a game that cost you $100 million, it's not bad. It's not great. Only 40% less than what you expected is definitely not good, no matter who you are.
Now, again, in today's day and age, I don't think these games are dead just yet, even if they fail. Now, you can argue like Anthem, for example, was a huge drop-off. It has done absolutely terrible, and it's pretty much dead. There's an Anthem 2.0 supposedly coming, but who knows how that's going to end up going. And knowing EA, I wouldn't be surprised if they charge people again for it. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But again, with Game Pass out there, look at games. This one's not really Game Pass related, but Among Us. It's a game that's been out for a couple of years, and it's just picked up steam lately. I think Game Pass can do that for games like this, especially games as a service where people will buy in and eventually end up spending more money once they've purchased the game or once they start playing the game. So I don't want to count it out just yet, but I do think they made some bad decisions. I think one of those decisions, and again, I think people are saying this is a lot more of an impact than it probably really is, but Spider-Man and the exclusivity on PlayStation, a lot of people supposedly canceled their orders. Again, going off of tweets, going off of Facebook posts, who knows who actually canceled these orders? But a lot of Xbox fans, a lot of PlayStation fans were just not happy at all once that exclusivity deal got made for in-game content. They said, hey, we're canceling our orders. We don't know the numbers. We don't know if these posts actually led to canceled orders, but there were a lot of different posts that came out once that deal was made. So that definitely could have made an impact here. Not sure the size of it. Not sure if orders were actually canceled, but there's a very good possibility that it impacted some way the sales of this game. Take-Two Interactive, known for Red Dead Redemption 2, known for games like NBA 2K. They are in talks currently to acquire Codemasters for approximately $900 million. Why does this matter? Take-Two doesn't really have too many racing franchises under it at the moment. Codemasters is known for racing games. This would fit an area of their profile that they're not currently investing too much into. Bringing Codemasters in under $1 billion is a good win for them, because then you also bring games like Dirt. With Dirt 5 coming out, you have Project Cars, you have F1, which is huge over in Europe. Grid is another game. So again, not too much that I think we have to cover here, but just to make you guys aware, they are looking at investing into racing games. And instead of building up one of their own, they're looking at just buying someone out. Codemasters being successful in the area already, they see it as a good purchase potentially here. Anything else you want to say on racing games and Take-Two, sir?
Nope. Sounds good. Formula One, like you said, F1, massive in Europe. So it's going to be a great investment for them. If they do end up going with this acquisition for under $1 billion, it's going to be pretty good. And racing, the esport racing scene is growing even more. Again, I love telling this story here in the DC area on the alternative rock station, because they really don't play alternative rock, DC 101. The Elliot in the Morning program actually had someone call in when Elliot was talking about how, as he called it, e-racing, which made me almost crash my car, and e-gaming, Joey, your favorite term there as well.
Hate that term.
Was growing, and people have like this $8,000 racing cockpit that they use, and they're semi-pros and pros that compete on these e-gaming racing tournaments. And I'm doing air quotes for those on the podcast. I hate that term also. But yeah, it's an absolutely massive scene that's continuing to grow. Racing games, as much as I don't like NASCAR, are growing, and they're doing incredibly well. So this is a really smart investment for Take-Two to look to dive into the F1 scene here as well.
Yeah, I think... Okay, listeners, I'm trying to get these stupid bot commands, and I always forget what the social one is, so I'm just going to mess it up a few times in chat while we sit here waiting. There we go. ! OTN for those in chat. Just to make those socials come up. But I agree, John. Racing is definitely one of those things. We saw it as well with NASCAR in the spring when COVID came through and COVID decided to pretty much knock all professional sports out of existence, at least for a little while. NASCAR, I believe it was called e-racing as well in that case. It ended, or maybe it was eNASCAR, but it did extremely well. You had a lot of people tuning in, pulled in record number of audiences for live TV. Personally, the graphics are quite good in that game. I would not be surprised if some people actually thought it was real NASCAR for a little while there. But it was one of those things that pulled in a lot of viewers. Racing continued to get some head and steam in the e-circuit, as they call it. And same with Formula One. Formula One being extremely impressive over in EU, pulling in big viewership numbers, both as a traditional sport and as an esport over there as well. Not going to touch on this one for this week. You guys can have it as a little food for thought, and we'll talk about it next week just for time's sake. Microsoft is seeking to make more acquisitions in Japan. This has now been confirmed not only by Bloomberg as a news source, but also previous comments that have come out from head of Xbox, Phil Spencer. They're talking to a bunch of different people. The exact quote over there, several I was going to say Japanese and Japan at the same time. Several Japan-based game developers from small to big said Microsoft has approached them about buying their businesses. They asked not to be identified in the article as the talks were private. When asked how the talks ended up going, they declined to give too many details on that front either, saying how the discussions really went overall. So a lot of question marks still on that one. We're not sure what it is. We know Microsoft is shopping in Japan for some studio acquisitions, but we're not sure how big they are, how small they are, how those talks are going so far. They are happening, but we don't know too much about them from there. Additionally, we do know at this point, and this is confirmed, Sony has decided not to renew their contract with their first-party Japanese studio either. So Sony, originally based out of Japan, now headquartered in California, they have said, hey, we've cut out a lot of our studios in London. Now we're also cutting out our studio in the homeland of Japan as well. So I don't know what Sony's doing with some of these studios. Some of them are cutting because VR didn't quite pop off, so they cut some of those studios. The Japanese one was not as VR-based, but it is now, at least it's going to lose a lot of funding. It sounds like they're going to close it down entirely over there in Japan as well. So we'll have to see how all that shakes out. Again, we'll kind of break some of this down a little bit more next week as we dive into what those studios could be and what that funding plan does look like for Sony. ESPN Esports, guys, this one is sad. This is very sad for esports. I don't like ESPN in general, to be completely honest, but their esports coverage was very impressive. They have some very talented people over there. Jacob Wolf, Tyler, most of you know him as Fion on Fire. Emily is over there. She's really great as well. There's a number of other people. Arda, I believe, is staying, but a number of the contracts will be downsized here. They're going to cut a lot of those personnel and not renew the contracts heading into 2021. This is a huge loss for esports potentially on a global scale. One, when you look at esports and the legitimacy it has, a lot of that comes from the fact that sports are picking it up. It's starting to gain traction with big sport owners for positives or negatives, depending how you look at it, but also big sports broadcasts. You have your Foxes, your ABCs, your CNNs pulling in different articles and things about esports. Then you have ESPN doing regular coverage on it as well. When it comes to off-season roster moves, I know a couple here and there that are not mentioned yet, but Jacob Wolf knows a ton more than I do, and he does a really good job of breaking all that down, keeping in touch with a number of contacts, writing articles up about all of that. Absolutely impressive. One of the best in all of the esports industry when it comes to journalism. Emily, also extremely impressive. And then Fion comes out, does an extremely good job. Power rankings is one of his strong suits. He does a very good job interacting with audiences on social media. John, I know you and I are both big fans of all the personnel over there at ESPN when it comes to esports. This is a huge loss for esports as an industry to lose its factor in ESPN, depending how you rate ESPN, but also to lose this talent from ESPN as well.
Clue got me with his chat. He goes, I do love my liberal CNN esports.
Okay, I mean, they break down more of the like finances behind it, Clue. Chill over there.
I mean, so Joey, first I want to echo your sentiments of your hatred of ESPN. I'm not a big fan of ESPN either. Their layoffs over the years have really hurt in their content, in their reporting, if you will. It's become more sensationalism versus actually what's going on. And, if that's what their viewers want, fine, go for it. I mean, but that's also the reason why Fox Sports and FS1 are starting to gain ground on ESPN. ESPN continue to downsize even more. And when it comes to the legitimacy of esports, that's something that, it's a common theme that we talk about, whether it comes to investors, when it comes to pop stars or personalities coming into esports and really bringing that following and that validity that comes with it. When ESPN made that move to jump into esports, yes, their original logo was cringe. Guess what? So was LvLUp's podcast's first logo. It was cringe too. They evolved over time. So I give them credit for that. But no, they brought in some of the best, if not the best, reporters in the esports scene, and they started pumping out articles. They started pumping out content. They started pumping out just what eventually became what people could consider the gold standard of what people were looking for when it came to esports. Yeah, their department was small, especially in comparison to what other stuff at ESPN that they do there, but they were able to cover so much with a small staff that they had. And now ESPN is downsizing again. Someone who considers themselves the worldwide leader in sports and entertainment is losing a massive segment of entertainment now by getting rid of these voices that we in the esports world look to for information, that we look to for leaks or deep dives into what's going on in our organizations. There's not too many esports sites out there anymore. When you take a look at like Yahoo, gone. You know, we see other media outlets dabble in esports, but they don't really cover anything. It's essentially like you go to their website and they have links to everybody else's work and none of it is actually theirs. They want the clicks, but they don't want the work. And it's upsetting to see ESPN do this to the esports department. Joey, you and I had a chance to meet Jacob down in Atlanta during the Atlanta Reign homestand last season. Absolutely great guy. Took time out of his busy day, sat there and chatted with us for a bit. His mind into what's going on in the world of esports is second to none. He definitely is the Woj of esports, if you will. He drops those wolf bombs. He is such a great journalist in esports. And it was upsetting to hear everyone at ESPN was cut. It's good to hear that Jacob Wolf already has plans to land on his feet. All these reporters, all these journalists at ESPN Esports, they're going to land on their feet. It's going to happen. These are very talented individuals, whether they're the journalists, the production team, the graphics artists, anyone who got laid off, they're all incredibly talented and have a very impressive resume that anybody who wants to care about esports would be crazy not to pick up. And Joey, I know you and I, we've talked about it before, kind of like in a joking manner. This is where I wish we had like a $50 million investor at the moment, because, all of these people are well deserving of being paid for their amazing talents. And, it's a pipe dream. I would love to have any one of them at OTN, if we could actually afford it. But, it's sad. And, for ESPN, it's their loss. It's their loss. We're going to see more extreme beanbag toss / cornhole, depending upon what part of the country you come from, on ESPN. We're going to see more extreme darts with the guy with the amazing accent screaming bullseye on TV. We're going to see more poker, because, Joey, I'm sorry poker hits close to home for you. I do not think poker belongs on ESPN. I'm just leaving it there. Hate me later for it. I don't care. ESPN has dabbled in so many things that shouldn't be on ESPN, but now esports, that's where they're going to draw the line. I think it's a huge loss for them and a huge loss for esports.
I have a feeling this is not where ESPN is going to draw the line just yet. I think they're going to keep cutting people. Unfortunately, I think that is going to be in the future. But just to clarify a couple of things here, we do not know the future of the esports program there at ESPN, program, department, whatever you want to call it. We do know a lot of people are cut, but there are also a number of people who are still there and intact. So I don't know if ESPN is going to be cutting everything completely and saying goodbye esports, if they're going to still do a little bit of stuff here and there, but cut out a lot of that journalism that Jacob and Emily and Tyler bring to the table. We're really not 100% sure. It's kind of up in the air. It does feel like, though, if you're going to get rid of someone, especially like a Jacob Wolf, who is pretty much that top reporter, that top investigative journalist when it comes to a lot of the off-season stuff for League of Legends, when it comes to diving into the Overwatch League, if you're going to lose someone like that, if you're willing to part ways with them, it almost feels like you're willing to give up on esports as well. So again, not confirmed, but if we have to take our clues here, it's probably very likely that they're starting to shift their way away from esports, at least for the foreseeable future. Very, very disappointing stuff. Like John said, we would love to have any of these people over here at OTN. I would not be surprised if they all land on their feet very, very quickly after being cut. I don't think any of them will have too much downtime, as they're extremely good in their areas. They're very well known. They've done a very, very good job in many different journalism fields when it comes to esports, both from investigative to rosters to power rankings to the ability to really break down matchups at a very high level. I'm very curious to see where they all end up landing, if they end up some together here and there, or if they spread out quite a bit and bring all that power to a bunch of different organizations worldwide. Upcoming, again, we already talked about the Xbox and PlayStation launches. You guys know those happen this week. The Xbox live stream is tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to check out that global live stream, PlayStation 5, again, releases Thursday. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, for those of you who did not play that game, the nominee for Game of the Year, that one is headed to EA Play, which is now available on Game Pass as of right now. It will come to PC's Game Pass as well, December 15th. So go ahead and check that one out if you're interested. Halo 4 will officially arrive on PC as well. That's November 17th, and that will be the last game in the Master Chief Collection. Halo has come out and said Halo 5 will not be included. It was never planned to be included. I would assume that's eventually loaded onto PC as well, but at least for now, it's going to be Halo Reach, Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, Halo ODST as well, wrapping out that Master Chief Collection. Last but not least, John, we touched on it last week, the LOL All-Star event. We talked about the details. We broke it down, but there is one final piece to the puzzle. And I don't know if you want to do this live or if we just want to bring our thoughts to the show next week. I'll let you decide on that. But All-Star voting has opened as of today. We have the ability, you can vote on all different regions. You can just stick to NA if you just want to talk about NA. You can break down the LEC. You can jump over to League of Legends Japan as well. I already casted my votes. I went for LCS and LEC personally. I feel like I know a lot about South Korea and the Chinese scenes. I don't know if I feel faithful enough to be able to make votes over there, as I watch quite a few matchups, but I don't watch as much as a true fan of those two leagues would. So I'm going to allow the voting to just fall on them while I watch a lot of LEC and LCS. I feel much better about doing the voting. So those are open if you guys want to vote. You just need to have a Riot account to do so. John, do we want to do our voting here on the show with the audience, or do you want to go ahead and hold that off until next week?
Your call, sir. I have it up if you want to do it now.
Let's run through it. Let's do LCS.
Okay.
We have some people still in chat here. We'll wrap this up, and we will do this as our last topic of today's show. Then we'll have some good old stuff coming for you guys Thursday as well.
Okay, so LCS top.
Oh, this is a lot different on PC.
Oh, it looks great on PC.
Yeah, I did mine on mobile.
Viper, Someday, Solo, Impact, Licorice, Huni, Hanser, tons of great names in here. I'm, of course, biased. I'm wearing a Cloud9 hoodie for Pete's sake, I don't know, Joe. I mean, we're technically logged in under my account. So, I mean, it technically comes down to...
Cast the final vote. Chat, if you have any thoughts for your top laner, who would it be? You have just a few seconds to type it in chat. John, who are you leaning toward right now if you had to choose someone just out of the blue?
I probably lean towards Impact. Impact or Licorice. I think those are two they performed incredibly well this past year. Bjergsen is a mid laner, Joey.
Yeah, I was like,
fun
your
fact,
profit? What are you doing over there?
Fun fact, Bjergsen doesn't play every lane. In fact, he's retired now, so he doesn't even play mid lane anymore. So yeah, take that clue. Let's see here. Squircle says Solo. Had a very good season as well. It's tough, man. It's tough. Joey, who are you leaning towards?
I voted for Solo, actually.
Solo?
So I agreed with Squircle over there. Yeah, I feel like Impact would have been my second choice. He did quite well overall. But when it came down to the nitty-gritty, I think Solo was the one who performed at the highest level for me.
All right, so Jungle. Solid names here in the jungle. Except for the fact my boy Blabber's not in here, but we're just gonna go ahead and leave it out. We have Wiggly with CLG, formerly of the C9 Academy roster. Didn't and as T-Spans is asleep because he doesn't care about League of Legends. That's fine. That's fine.
He's just voting for anything that's not C9, practically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, C9's not even an option here. Again, Brock's had another great season. He's pretty good. Contracts, I mean, again, I'm biased, former Cloud9 player. Meteos, can we even really include Meteos? As much as I like the guy, it's interesting that Meteos is listed here, but Blabber isn't. Who are you leaning
that's
towards?
so much C9 bias coming out over there.
It is. I mean, it's just weird. Meteos didn't even play the full season with 100 Thieves. Like, I don't why is he in there, but Blabber isn't? Like, that's just...
I mean, technically, Broxa didn't play the full season either.
Well, but he was at least on the roster for the full season.
True. Not wrong. Okay, who are our other choices? Is that Santorin,
Sven, Wiggly, Xsmithy, Closer, Broxa, Acadian, Dardoch.
Okay, so we have a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Chat, what are we feeling here in the jungle? If you had to field one
Bjergsen
jungler
is not
from
a
NA,
jungler.
that is not Blabber. That is not Bjergsen. As talented as he is not playing jungle here for the All-Star team for NA. Thank you, One True Prophet, for trying. T-Spans is broken.
Shocker.
Okay. Now that all of our reasonable people have left chat over here, Squirkle, where are you at over there? So when I went to jungle, I was between a few different picks. Just to break it down on my perspective, I really do like some of the young junglers here. I think Closer is quite talented, but again, if I'm looking at the top level jungler, I have to go toward two people. One of them being Santorin. I think Santorin played extremely well this season. He made a lot of growth. He was really able to be one of the big leaders for that team on the Rift, continuing to flow motion, sacrificing his own jungle to really put his teammates ahead. One of those benefiting was Solo, another one Power of Evil. He did a good job of really distributing the gold amongst the team. The other one for me is Broxa. Broxa got a ton of hate. He came in late. He had to make quick adjustments. Team Liquid got their butt kicked in the spring. Then he came out and did a phenomenal job in summer as well as in Worlds. He's one of those personalities that regardless of how good the team is doing or how bad the team is doing, he finds a way to stay positive. Now, I'm not saying he's like, oh, we just lost, woo! But he's one of those people that's like, okay, guys, let's get back up. We're not down yet. We're going to continue to work toward this. And you saw that resiliency with Team Liquid at Worlds. Yes, they didn't make it out, but look who was in their group. They had two semifinalists in there in G2 and Suning, one of those going on to the finals to eventually lose to Damwon, but still make it to the finals. So Group A ended up being really impressive. I think Team Liquid did extremely well, and with all of that pressure on Broxa to perform, he was able to get some stuff done and make it happen. My vote ended up going to Broxa here, but Broxa or Santorin I think would be both winners in my book personally. T-Spans is...
He's toxic.
T-Spans.
He's toxic.
Squirkle came in with Closer. Not super surprised. Again, he would be my number 3 probably. I think he is one of the big young up-and-coming rookies. But John, if you can't vote for Blabber, who are you voting for here with your vote for jungle?
Probably Broxa.
Okay, Broxa it is. Boom.
All right, mid lane, who has not retired. So Bjergsen's not even an option. Nice.
Okay, you guys know the options. John doesn't
Nice.
have to read all of these mid laners for you.
No, absolutely.
Prophet's going to choose Bjergsen.
Of
T-Spans
course.
is going to say C9's on fire. Squirkle is going to come out and say probably some Golden Guardians mid laner. If we had to
Niski's
guess.
not even listed here.
Who?
Niski's not here.
I don't know why. I don't know how they did these. So fun fact, G2 is actually not listed at all in Europe either.
But Golden Glue? I'm sorry. That's toxic.
Okay, Power of Evil. I like that pick. I think Power of Evil is a great choice. Power of Evil is actually who I chose as well, Squirkle. So we're very much on the same page with these. I think PoE played extremely well. Again, some of that credit does go to Santorin as the jungler. He played really well getting PoE ahead. This chat, I swear. But yeah, Power of Evil would be my pick, John.
Going Power of Evil. It's fine. Bot lane. Now we're getting spicy. Not going to be Wild Turtle. I can tell you that much. FBI.
Yeah, I like
nice.
two players here. Who are your thoughts first before I jump into mine?
I'm gonna agree with Clue here. I'm gonna go Bjergsen. As Joey almost spits his drink all over his computer, that would have been quality content.
Freaking Bjergsen. Come on, who's your real AD carry over there, sir?
Oh look, Cloud9 not even listed again.
Cloud9's on vacation. They decided they don't want to play in All-Stars.
Seriously, like this is like
Too much
this
toxicity.
is toxic. No, Bjergsen is not a bot laner.
T-Spans, you're not in bronze yet.
Oh my
Get your iron butt back to grinding over there.
T-Spans and his just toxic copy pasta over there. I mean, FBI had a good season. Bang had a good season. Tactical had a good season. I mean, I feel like a lot of bot laners, a lot of ADCs performed well. Like, I don't think bot lane was too big of an issue for too many teams. I feel like there were other areas that were weaker that their bot lane didn't shine or didn't appear as dull as they could have been. I don't know. I might just go
Okay,
FBI
I'll give you two to choose between.
I might go to FBI just to appease Squirkle.
Yeah, I think FBI is a great choice. My top two would be FBI and Tactical, both young players, both came up. Again, there's a lot of pressure on these young players to perform. I mean, Tactical replaced LvLUp. You have FBI coming up into a team that was struggling here and there, really able to get Golden Guardians, one of those players that was key in getting them back on their road, eventually upsetting TSM at one point as well. So I think Tactical, FBI, both of them really deserve votes here. I think either one of them would be a great choice.
FBI is getting it.
FBI is getting it. The last one to investigate here is going to be support. Clue is going to vote for Bjergsen, I'm pretty sure. Squircle, I don't know who he's actually going to vote for on this one. T-Spans, he's just going to spam something. So overall, you have a number of big supports. I personally voted for Core JJ here. I think the leadership he brought to the table was huge for Team Liquid. Again, coming up, struggling quite a bit in the spring season, then eventually turning things around in the summer. I think Core JJ was a vital part of that alongside Broxa. He ended up getting my vote here in support.
Joey, you voted against the bearded god Zyzel himself. How dare you? No, I have to agree. I think Core JJ gets it hands down. It's not even close. Just everything he brings to the table for Team Liquid, that world champion experience. Team Liquid on paper should be the best team, if not in the top 3 every split for NA. Core JJ is a solid reason as to why, just from a leadership and experience standpoint. I'm going to give it to Core JJ. I'm not even going to open it up to discussion. Core JJ gets it.
Squircle does agree with us in chat as well.
That's fine.
The rest of chat is just spamming crazy things over and over. Good times over there. But yeah, no, I think that's great. LEC, we don't really have to touch on. We are an NA-based podcast, so we'll stick with LCS for now. But some really good stuff out there, guys. If you have not already, we highly encourage you to move in there, do some all-star vote casting. If Bjergsen's not available, maybe go for your second best player in those roles because he's not available in all those votings. So you guys will make it happen in the end. Thanks again for listening, guys. There's a lot going on this week. We'll have a lot to touch on Thursday as well. Again, consoles launching this week for Xbox and PlayStation. Lots of big esports news, some of it unannounced, and that will be coming later in this week, as well as some exciting game announcements that should be popping up as well. So really, really exciting stuff going on this week. It should be very fun. It's a good time to move forward from the election as well and start to reset on some more things. They're a little bit more engaging in the, some people find the election entertaining. Personally, I prefer to stick toward gaming for my level of entertainment. You guys can go ahead and make that choice. You have a lot more new options coming this week.
I don't know, Joey. Seeing toxicity in game and seeing toxicity out of game, I'm here for the show. I'm here for the show.
Literally like a League of Legends chat acted out, I swear.
It seriously is. All right, let's go and wrap this baby up. Here we go. Well, Nation, that is going to do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. We love to hear from our community so much. We have multiple ways for you to reach out to us. Joey, where can LvLUp Nation go to interact with us in the show?
LvLUp Nation, head on over to Twitter and find us at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUp Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/OTN Media. LvLUp Podcast Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. A number of other good shows and content throughout the week as well. Again, hit that follow button on Twitch, and we'll see you next week. Well, actually, later this week.
Joey wants to fast forward to next week. I invite you to come back this Thursday as we celebrate the launch of the PlayStation 5. So make sure you tune in this Thursday, November 12th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub button to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasure. We will catch you all on Thursday. Have a great week. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And as always, level up.
You've moved on like I'm about to. 'Cause you don't really